Are there any books that you could recommend, either on Daoism or anything we spoke about here that kind of resonated with you?
Tao Te Ching itself as a book is not an easy read. It's pretty esoteric, worth reading, but a bit of a tough one. Ken Cohen is a well-written author teacher. He has several books on Daoism that are probably a very good introduction to the general worldview of Daoism as a starting point. Again, my specialty is from within the medical paradigm as a physical health, emotional health, not the sort of religious chants and scriptures and rituals and all that sort of stuff. And classical Taoists have practices, physical health practices, medical health practices, astrology, looking at somebody's chart, the birth chart, the study of the scripture and the rituals and all that sort of stuff. And then also people that would study feng shui and the medicine land and the buildings and that sort of stuff. So people can study Daoism from any one of those branches and still be a Daoist, if you will, and not have done some of the other ones. But for most of us in the West, the sort of general philosophy side of things, of how to look at life and have a broader view, I think Ken Cohen's books are a good starting point.
Yeah, very nice. And I hope people go and read that, because this type of approach, I feel like it's getting lost a little bit, this understanding of being in the gray, of macrocosmic, of stepping back, of not being right or wrong, but kind of appreciating all sides of the story, even ones that may go against your belief system that you have ingrained since you were little. I think that's a beautiful thing, is to challenge yourself in those belief systems, because a lot of times those are just programs that are incorrect, right? They're stuck in our brains and our subconscious, and we need to break them down sometimes to open up, to allow things to happen.
And there's always a different perspective to everything, always two sides to something. And the Qi symbol, the yin yang tool, the Taiji tool, that white and black spiral with the little dot inside each of one, shows that the extreme of the white has the black circle inside of it, and the extreme of the black has the white circle within it. So even at its utmost, its opposite is always there. So even at the darkest period, there is a ray of light. And even at the brightest period, there is a sign of darkness coming. The sun goes up in the sky, it goes back down. As soon as it gets to the dark night, it's to rise again. It's never stays static, only bad, only good. There's always this transformation. And even now with what's happening in the country, whatever side of the political fence, people had a conversation with a patient today, who was very concerned with the status of politics in the country and the election coming up and the good and the bad of Trump and all of this sort of stuff. And I said, well, I think, from my perspective, try to look at both sides of it. And that is that there is a lot of waking up that is happening. There's a lot of discussion around issues that are very important, and also a lot of pain that's happening. It's not good. It's not bad. There is good. There is bad. But both are there, irregardless of whatever side of the fence you're on. You could say that if you're on the pro-Trump, you would say there was all this that was pre-existing before him, and he is bringing good to balance out that bad. If you're saying that he's bad, then there is the good that's coming to back him out. But I think there's always the duality is there. The good and the bad are always there, and we have to be willing to accept that truth. We don't find some sort of cohesiveness to move forward. We just stay in our polarity and argue with each other and shout and then go nuts.
Yeah. And it's a really important message there in it, because we are in these times, whether it's politics, whether it's coronavirus, whether it's just healthcare or anything, you're seeing more of this. You're seeing the polarity, which again, polarity in itself is a good thing. I mean, we need it to survive, right? Our cells need polarity to bring things out and pull them out, and everything is in polarity. But it's when we radicalize it and only stay in one and don't allow the shifting and the flow. It's almost like the chi gets stopped. Energy just stops right there. And then
It
there's a
does.
closed-mindedness almost of it all, which is never a good thing, never a good. And it's difficult, I understand, but it's also a wonderful lesson for those people, I feel like, is to open up, is to listen, is to kind of, shift perspective a little bit.
Yeah, to try and just see what the other side is, see the good in what you think is bad, see the bad in what you think is good. Just as your own exercise, whatever side of the fence you're on, just see the good of what you think is bad, see the bad of what you think is good. Just try to keep your mind open so you don't get locked into one reality.